G'day folks, in this video I'm going to show you how to solve the 9 by 9 by 9. But instead of taking you through the whole solve, I'm guessing that if you've got a 9 by 9 by 9, you've already played with a 7 or a 5 maybe, and it's essentially the same kind of thing. In some ways it's more tedious, but it's still a cool solve. So I'm not going to bother going through all the first 4 centres because I assume that people can do the first 4 centres. The harder part comes with the last 2 centres, first of all. So I'm certainly not going to, when we get to reducing the edges, show you all of them. I'll show you a couple, show you some techniques, and make sure I cover every case. And from there, because it's an odd layered cube, there are no real parities. It's just solving it as you would a 3 by 3. So hopefully this won't be too long. Let's get into it. When we get down to the last 2 centres, this is the situation I got. It's going to look something like this. We've got a fixed centre, so we know that that is the orange face because of that orange fixed centre, and that's the green face because of the green fixed centre. So what we want to do first is start just placing as many green pieces into that green centre with simple turns. So I can see here I've got 4 greens out of the possible 7, and over here I've only got 2 greens in that row. So I'm going to knock that row out up to this face, and I'm going to do that by pushing out with this slice here, because I want to keep that one. So I want to push it out, turn this face and bring it back in. So I just want to push out the layer, or that slice, turn the face, and now bring that slice back. And you can see that slice that we had there remained, and there's the new one. So we've just added some more green pieces quite simply. Now that's the outer layers. What about the ones next to the center? I look up here and I don't really have any other masses of green pieces on these layers next to that central layer. Even going that way, what have I got? If I turn it that way, you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'd look down here and see whether I have 3 or less anywhere. But just looking at it, all of them seem to have 4 or more. So that's out. The next thing I look for, the second row in. So that's got 4 there, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. What about down here? I've got a 3, I've got a 3 there. So I can certainly start replacing that one. Any simple turns that get more in is better, even if it's only 1 more. So I'm going to get rid of that one, which means turning it off there, pushing out the one I want to keep, turning back the face and removing the one I don't want to keep. And that's up there now. What else have we got? We've still got a 4 up here on that second row, so if I can find a second row with 3, but I can't, and so now I look to the outer rows and I've got a 5 sitting there. And what else have we got? 1, 2, 3, I've got another 5 up there, so hopefully I can come down here. Oh, there's a 2, that's great. There's a 3, so let's replace that 5 into this position. So turn it on, turn the position and return. Now I've also got a 1, 2, 3, 4 up there. Have I got a 3 anywhere? I've in fact got a 2 down here. So I'm going to get that ready into position. Turn this one around and go ahead and replace that. And you can see just by doing these simple turns it's looking a lot better. I think that's about as far as we can go now. 1, 2, 3, except that in doing that I notice that there's a 4 in that second row and there's only a 1, 2, 3 in that second row. So I don't know if that was always there or if that's just been created by some turns we just did. But either way, of course I didn't have to do those 2 turns there, I could have just done it the other way, but there you go. Either way, we might as well do it because it gets us an extra piece down here for not too much effort. And now that is clearly becoming the green center. Pretty sure there's nothing else I can do here. The next stage is going to be to get these individual pieces into here, and you can see that, or as an example, we've got this green corner piece and there's 3 green corner pieces in the green face already, but 1 that's not. So what I want to do here is place the one that's not into that position. We're going to use exactly the same sequence to do all of these pieces, just turning different slices. And the piece movement is basically going to be from here to here to here. So this green will come down to that position, this green will go to that position, which is good, and this orange will go back to that face. So I'm going to do it with this one first. You'll see how it works, and then I'll do it with some other positions. So it's just the corner piece series, and we go up, we then go right, up prime, left prime, up, right prime, up prime, and left. And you can see now that all 4 of the orange corners are orange and all 4 of the green corners are green. That'll always cycle those 3 pieces. But what about if we don't want to cycle those 3 pieces? What other pieces could we do? Well, basically what we're doing, and this is a great example here, we can see 2 green pieces here which I'd like to put down to the green face. So what I do is I turn them off. I say, where are they going to land if I turn that face? In this case, you can see those green pieces are the 2 in that position. So I look down to this position, and I say, in that position, I want there to be orange pieces. Now, you can see that there's a couple of oranges above where I want it to be, but I can try and turn this around. That doesn't help. Look at that. I've got 2 orange pieces in that 1, 2, 3rd row down. That means that corresponds with these green pieces, where these green pieces are going to be. And so now that I've worked that out, I can say, well, I'm still going to do an upper turn first. They're going to go around to there, and then that's the first turn of the corner piece series. Then, because I'm doing 2 of these, I'm going to turn both of those layers, then an upper anti-clockwise, and I notice that's the slice which has these pieces. So now I turn just that slice for my left turn. And now continue. And you can see, having done that, those green pieces which were there are now orange. Those green pieces have gone down to here, and in fact we've just dealt with 2 more of the pieces, and all of it is the same as that. And to proceed, we do exactly the same thing. We just find another green piece. For example, this one here, that's in the top row. We say, where's that going to go? That's going to go down to that position. So I want to put an orange piece into that position. It's already there. That's great. Away I go. Upper face turn, right, up anti-clockwise, and this time it's just that slice there, and continue. And you can see that that has dealt with that. What about if they're in the internals? Okay, well, let's have a look at this piece here. What I would do is start with that piece there and say, where's that going to turn? It's going to go into the 2nd row, and it started in the 3rd row here, as in 1, 2, 3. I'm turning it around, and it goes to the 2nd row, 1, 2, in that position. So I'd like to have an orange piece down in that position, and you can see there is one there already. So that means everything's set up. So away I go. Up, just this slice now. Up anti, just that slice. And often you can see when you complete these, you'll see stuff starting to come back together and making correct rows. And you can see it's as simple as that. All you're doing is changing the slices that you're working with. What about this sort of thing? Can I get a monster piece here? I've got 1, 2, 3 into that position. So ideally I'd like to be looking for some oranges. I've got an orange, I've got a couple of oranges. I can do 2 of these. You can see this and this green piece, when I turn them around, will go in the 2nd row down and the 4th row down. So here's some oranges in the 2nd and the 4th row, so I can do 2 of them at once. So what do? Turn the upper face, then turn that, then turn the upper back, and now turn these slices only. So that slice, and that slice. Now continue. Now return the slices, and those have been dealt with. And we just continue doing this until we're down to the last one. And you can see when we get down to that last one, we just do it in exactly the same way. So we see here we've got a green piece that's going to go to that position, so I've got to get that orange around to that position, and away I go with the same sequence of moves. finishing off, we can see that those last two centres are done. Cool. Okay. So that leads us to the next stage of the solve, which is to reduce these edges. There are 7 edge pieces we need to make so that all of these are the same colour. Now, pretty much almost never you're going to be able to do this in one go, so it's going to require multiple goes. So let's have a look. For example, we've got here the red yellow pieces. I'd like to get some other red yellows facing the same way, so yellow on top, red on front on these other rows. Maybe I've got some there already. No, I don't, so I'm going to have to place some into those positions. So I've got to find them first of all, and there's one over here, so I'll place, now what did I need? Yellow on top. So I'll turn that around and I've got a yellow red in that position. Let's go and find another one. There's a couple up here, so I can turn both of those in, and that's 2 pieces there. So if I can, I'll get another one and place it into that position because that doesn't have any yet. There's one. And I can't just turn this up here because it'll knock out this one. So I've got to turn it up, move it off, undo those moves, and that ensures that it keeps the yellow red that I already had intact. So having done that, I now want to bring together whatever yellow reds I've got. Bring those two together. I've got a couple up here, so I'm just turning slices until all the yellow reds that I got together are on the same slice. That's the last one there. Having done that, you can see that's pretty good, and I nearly got a complete one done. So now that you've brought them together, you want to take that slice out onto an adjacent face, so turn it up, replace it with something that's not yet been done, and then return your centres. And you can just be guided by the colours. Alright, so centres are all returned, and you'll see I've got a nearly completed or nearly reduced yellow red. So that just means now I've got to find the other yellow red piece, and this is normally the time when it's right in front of me and I can't see it. I've just noticed that white red. That's awesome. I'll be looking to do something with that. There's the other yellow red. So yellow's got to be on top, so I'll turn that around, and now I can bring that together and do the same thing. Take it out onto an adjoining face, replace it with something that's not done, and return centres. And that has reduced one of the edges, one of the 12 edges that I need to reduce. Well, now with 3 of these edges to reduce, what I want to do first is just try and solve one of them, or try and reduce one of them. So I'm going to concentrate on the yellow-green. That's already got a piece next to it. So I might just look at these other 2 and find out where else I've got yellow greens. There's one there that I could bring. So the first thing I could do, there's a couple of techniques here. One thing I could do is bring that around like that and now reverse this piece. So all reversing is done by taking it out and then returning it by turning its position up. And there's those pieces there. When we turn that back, the centres will return. Now, I'd next perhaps like to get that little piece there. Where's that one? It looks like it is this piece here. Now, in order to get that piece there, another thing I can do is turn all of them down there and now reverse this piece. And when we turn the centres back, we'll see that that's created that little strip. I've got these 2 here, and I've got this one, this yellow-green. Now what I would like to do is probably pair up this and this piece. So let's firstly turn that, and I'm going to bring those 2 together and just reverse this one. And having done that, when we turn the centres back, you can see the whole point of reversing it is to just put them off on the side there. So now what I've got is this is a nice little situation. I've got these two that I can push down to there and then reverse this edge. And what's going to happen is, in fact, it won't end up solving it. So I'm not going to abandon that one. Instead, what I'm going to do is bring these to here and use this one as a third piece, as I'd normally do. So I'll have that up the top, bring those two there. Now go ahead, replace as per normal. That'll give me how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 7 done. And that last one, I can put ready there, and I can bring that around as per normal and then replace it with this one. Okay, let's return centers. When we do that, we'll see that the yellow greens have completely been done, and that will just leave us with 2 edges left to reduce. When I can find the other one, there it is. Let's put them together. Now here we can see that the white oranges are not facing the correct way to join up with these. So what I'm going to do is actually push these ones out the way with those white oranges and then flip this around. Reverse that edge. Everything aligned there. Now when we put back the centers, let's have a look what's happened. Because we reversed those two, they are now correctly positioned, and that means I now need to just get this one into a nice position. Now, an easy way to do that, a much easier way than what it looks like now, is to join up this piece with this piece. So we've only got 2 to play with, we don't have any third piece, so I'm going to put that there, flip this piece, in the standard fashion, return centers, and I'll see that those 2 are now together. And where are the other 2? Over here. Now ordinarily what I'd like to do is bring them together with them and replace, but I can't do that. So instead I'm going to use the 2 orange whites here, and I'm going to push out all of these orange whites. So my first 5 pieces I'm pushing out. So it doesn't matter what else is there. There's my 5 pieces, 2 of them are those ones. I'm going to push that out and now reverse. Okay, let's bring back centers. Now let's have a look at the white orange. They are all done, and miraculously so are the red greens. I don't think I've ever encountered that before, and that is really cool. So that is a very unusual situation to end with, where you've got the other edge gets automatically reduced. It is unusual, and it's probably not normally going to happen. So let me show you a couple of other scenarios with that now. Well, here's a scenario. I've got all of these edges reduced except for this one. So this last edge just has those 2 and those 2. And what you're going to find in these cases is no matter what you end up with, it's going to be symmetrical. So I'm not going to have 2 down here and only 1 up here. That's just not possible. So in this case I've got 2 here. Now what we do in this situation is we need to break the centers and then re-solve them and then re-reduce the edges. So to break the centers, or to break this edge, I'm going to turn the 2 off like that. Now just to be clear, I could have turned them that way. I could have turned these 2. In fact, to deal with it, I could have turned those 2. As long as I do 2 of these inner slices, which correspond to those 2, I'm going to be fine. So I turn that off, 1 turn, and then go about remaking the centers. So this is the orange center, so I now push it out with these 2 as if I was back to the center stage. This is the yellow center. Push it out, turn the face, bring it back, and the last one is red. Go that way, and then the white center will automatically be done. Now when you've remade the centers, you're going to have some edges that need to be re-reduced. So there's the blue-orange edge. Here it is over here. Let's turn that one off in readiness. So I can then bring together the blue orange edge and use this one. So this is now reducing them again, but it's much simpler because all the pieces are together and you don't have to think about matching little bits up. The next one, we've got these three left. What should I do? Let's do the yellow oranges. Now the yellow orange is here, so I'm going to put that up the top. Bring the yellow oranges together and use that one to replace it. And return centers. Let's have a look what's left. Green reds and white blues. Well, where's the other green, red and white blue? It's over here, and you can see if I bring that around, it's going to be hopefully fairly obvious what's going to happen. In fact, the red green, I don't want to push them out with that because it'll cause that problem. What I want to do is turn it and push out these pieces here. So push out those red greens, flip this, and return the centers. When I do that, those red greens will all be back. What about the other ones? Yep, they're done as well. So that's one scenario. Let's have a look at a slightly more complicated one. Okay, in this situation we've got a really cool looking one. It's not that hard, it's just weird. And what you've got to think is, once again, it's all symmetrical. So if you consider that central piece to be the correct piece, that one's correct and that one's correct, these four are not. But think about it in terms of these two pieces here are in the same orbit and these two pieces here are in the same orbit. That means they're the ones that are out. So what I do is I turn the slices containing the wrong pieces, and if that central one's correct, that one's wrong and that one's wrong. So I can turn that slice and just that slice. Now that has fixed the problem, believe it or not, but of course first we've got to get the centers back. That's a little bit more interesting, but not much. So all we do is say, well, I've got to push out the rows or the slices that I want to keep of those orange ones. So I move that up there, push them out, turn the face and bring them back, and that's remade the orange centers. Same thing for the yellow. Push out, turn face, bring back. Last face is the red face, same deal. Okay, and all the centers have now been remade. Just put them down for alignment. And now I just go about reducing these edges, and it looks pretty crazy at the moment, but they comes together quite quickly. We've got red blues here and this red blue. Where are my other red blues? They are over here on this one, so I'm going to get that one off as a third piece and position those red blues. And now just go ahead as I normally would. It's a little bit more tedious with this one because the pieces are apart, but I've made those red blues. I'm going to replace them with this one. Return centers. There we go. Now that should leave three. 1, 2, 3 that are not yet done. Let's do the orange greens. The other orange green pieces are up here, and so I'll use this piece as my third piece. In fact, at this point, if I'm really smart, I'll look at it and say, hang on a minute, there's only 3 pieces. Are they all together? No, they're not. So I'm just going to do what I was going to do and go ahead and bring those orange green bits together like so. Just turn those slices and now replace them with that piece that's not yet done. Okay, return centers. Let's take stock. Blue whites, green yellows, and green yellows, blue whites. Okay, well, how do I do this? Well, what I need to do is let's bring this over here first of all and see what's going on. I'm going to need to get these blue-white pieces so that they push out the incorrect white-blue pieces down here, and they are these two. So that means I'm going to put them there, bring just those slices around like that. So now I've broken centers and I've pushed out the wrong ones. I'm going to reverse this and it's going to flip it all around, and these two will be the two that get pushed back to the yellow-green. So let's reverse the piece. Like so. Now we'll return our centers, and we'll see that the blue whites have been made, and around the other side the yellow greens have also been made. So I hope you can see that is not a difficult thing. It's just a little bit of a pain, but that's a very simple way to deal with any situation for that last edge. If you only had that piece and that piece that were out, you would turn simply that slice. One turn, resolve centers, re-reduce edges. As it happens now, that's all of those edges reduced. Let's go ahead and finish this off. We've got to solve the cube as we would solve a 3x3. Where's my yellow green? It's a bit clumsy to turn because it is so big. It's probably right on the threshold of what is okay to turn and not really too annoying. That's the green red piece, so let's go put that in the middle. Red blue up here. So I'm doing the white cross, then I'm doing 3 middle layer edges, and lastly this orange green can go in. This is just how I do a 3x3. Takes me much less time because it's smaller. That'll leave us one in the middle, and I'm going to go ahead and solve the edges at the back. The yellow red's already in place, the yellow green needs to go there, and so I can turn those into position, and that will leave us with some kind of 3-cycle. Let's have a look. Or potentially 3-cycle. In this case it's not, it's actually that's in position, these two need to swap. That's no kind of parity, that's just turn the upper face and resolve these back two edges, which is what I'm going to do. There's one of them resolved. The other one is the yellow green. And having done that, that will leave us with a 3-cycle, and that can be cycled home. That's the one that's going to go incorrectly into its position, so we'll turn its position down and turn it onto its position and undo those turns. And so with the odd layered puzzles such as this, the 9, you don't get any situations of an inverted edge. If you do, someone's messed with your puzzle. And that leads us on now to the corners. So to do the corners, I'm going to use the corner piece series. And as I say in a lot of these videos, there's a link in the description to the corner piece series video which explains exactly what it is. It's a very simple thing, and I'm just going to cycle 3 corners like this. That one's in. Yellow, green, orange, that's not going to roll. I'm looking for pieces that roll generally. Okay, what's next? The beauty of this is that you can do any corner in any order. That one's going to roll down to here. Yeah, that'll leave us. That's in position. That yellow, blue, orange has got to go to there. So do a setup there and then put these in. Now we've got a couple here, one there, got any more? And one there. So I think we now have all of these in position but twisted. So there's a couple of ways we can deal with corners that are in position but twisted. We can take them out and then put them back in, which is what I'm going to do. So with those, I'll do these three here. They'll come out. Just do a corner piece series to take them out of their position first. And having done that, I'll just inspect and see if any of them look like they're going to go back in, and that one's going to roll there. That green, yellow, red will roll down to here. And what I'll do now is involve this third piece that's still in its position. Now the green, yellow, red is going to go there, so I want that one there to create this cycle. And when I do that, what I'll see is that the final three pieces, so remember this green, yellow, red just went in, the final three pieces will all be out of position, and then I can look to set up somehow. Now this is a pretty bad configuration, I hate this sort of configuration, but we'll see if we can get it done. The first thing, let's have a think. If I put that there and set that up there, we want to try and bring them onto the same face if we can. So let's have a look if we can do that. That's not going to work. Let's try. Yep, let's go back to basics with this sort of one and start with any corner. So this corner here, that white corner is going to go across the diagonal there, which tells me that that piece will roll across to here. And so the orange sticker comes to the top. So then I find my third piece, wherever that is. It's down here. The sticker colour on the orange face needs to be here before I start. So I think I've got to get that green sticker colour to there before I start. So those two setup moves are easy. Don't have to think about them, I can easily undo them. It's just a matter of remembering how I get it up here without disturbing the others. So I'd like to turn it up this way. It's going to knock out that one. So I'm going to turn this off. So a left, back, left prime, and I'm in. And those three pieces are now set up for the final corner piece series. That's all done. You can see that one's gone in nicely, so it's just a matter of undoing the setup moves. And that's all good. And the last one, the last setup move, we said it would be easy, and it was. And that's cool. Those corners have gone in, and we look around and see that this 9 by 9 by 9 is solved.